Right guys, welcome to the 8th episode of Lifting the Lid.
In this episode, expect to find out what the Commando tests are, how best to tackle them,
And why we think the Katsu Curry is the calling card of a vanilla personality.
Let's get into it. Welcome back. So, this episode again, we're delving into Lifting the Lid again.
I think we're on 8 now.
Yeah, so episode 8 of Lifting the Lid. As you'll have seen in the title, we're going to cover off the Commando tests. So, just as customary, Eddie's going to interview me about the 4 Commando tests. If you don't know what they are, then you're in for a lot of education today. If you already know what they are, then you'll see some sort of insights into what they are and how they sort of went. So,
And if you are a regular listener, we did briefly touch on them in one of the initial Lifting the Lids, didn't we? It might have even been the first
it
one.
would have been the first episode.
When we went through training.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we glazed over them,
we
to say
didn't
the
give them
least.
enough justice, so we're going to do that now.
Yes.
We've
Because
got-
you get a load of questions about this as well.
Yeah,
don't you?
loads
So
of questions, yeah.
It's basic admin for you, really, now.
Yeah, this is true. Well, I haven't talked in depth about them, to be fair, for a long time, or thought in depth about them. So this should be quite interesting.
This could be a good thought exercise for you.
Yeah, because they like. Obviously, we'll get into it, but when you go through that sort of week, because it's so intense and there's so much going on,
Yeah.
when you look back on it, it's a bit of a blur. So I can't really remember until I actually try and think about it. So
Well, I obviously don't know this, but from your experiences and other friends that we have in the Corps, there's not really much time set aside for reflection, is there?
I know.
It's all very heart rate zone 4, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not much journaling time.
No. So this is your chance. This is your therapy session, effectively.
Yeah, love that, and you're all welcome to. You're all invited to.
Right. So before we get on to that, we've got to get through some segments.
Yes.
So we've got Helmet of the Week first.
Yeah.
Right, before we introduce it, at face value, this will seem very niche, but bear with us, we'll explain why. Okay,
Yeah.
it's on our radar at the moment, so we have to address it.
Yeah, as always.
Right, okay, so I'll let you introduce it.
No, it's all right. Well, we need to give the jingle first.
Oh yeah, give it its due diligence.
Yeah.
Helmet of the Week.
So Helmet of the Week, and we only really realised this because we went out there yesterday and we thought this has to be addressed. And so
I think we both kind of subconsciously noticed it, and then we've kind of now turned it into a game.
yeah.
It's like you introduce it.
Okay, well, so people who order the Katsu Curry at Wagamama's.
Yeah, it's like spot the Wagamama's virgin, isn't it? Basically, the game.
Literally. And even some people aren't. Some people have been there a load of times, but they're too set in their ways and not adventurous enough to try anything else. So
Yeah.
they still order that.
So I think my issue is the people that haven't evolved on from the Katsu Curry. I understand people that start. It's like
We've all done that.
it's like a gateway, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's the marijuana of Wagamama's.
It's the chicken tikka masala.
It is,
it?
yeah.
It's
the
basic.
equivalent of getting plain at Nando's on your first order.
Yeah,
but
because
then
you don't really know what to expect.
but then staying at plain.
Yeah, you've not evolved.
You're not diversified your palate there.
No, and there's so much on the Wagamama's menu that is far better
Oh,
than
my
the Katsu
favourite
Curry.
thing about Wagamama's is the fact that you order something, you don't know what half the shit is.
Yeah.
You just know it tastes good.
Yeah, just he's good.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't
he's
even
healthy.
I can't even fucking pronounce it.
No.
I just know that my mouth likes it.
And she said. And the Katsu Curry is actually probably one of the most unhealthy things, I would say, because it's fried chicken and it's curry sauce, which is probably covered in oils and all that sort of
Like
stuff.
sticky white rice as well.
And sticky
Very
white
carb
rice.
dense
Yeah.
for people that, let's face it, don't need the carbs.
Yeah, exactly.
I delved into this earlier because I'm a Nors.
course you
Right.
did.
So the chicken katsu curry has 1,000 calories and 44 grams of protein.
Oh, really?
The chicken ramen that I have is 500 calories
Is
and
it?
40 grams of protein.
Fair point. Well, so I'll go for my order. I obviously know the stats around that as well. So the Duck Donbury has
It's about
it's about 1,100 calories, but
Yeah.
I burn hot, so I need that many calories, and it's about 78 grams of protein, which is unbelievable because it's got an egg in it as well. Goated.
So basically, what we're saying there is, eat smarter, get more nutrients on board, and diversify your palate.
Yeah, exactly. Just try something new, even if you don't like it. You've tried, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean there was a few kind of what I would term serious offenders yesterday who've gone to Wagamama's with their missus, and their missus is obviously more accustomed to Wagamama's than them.
Yeah.
So they've gone something a bit more exotic, but they've stuck with the chicken katsu curry.
Yeah, you just bore in there.
You
aren't
just
you?
bore. Like,
Yeah.
if that's like your first or second date, what kind of advertisement are you giving there?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, this was me, right, with my ex, but I had to diversify. I had to level up.
You pulled your shit out the fire, didn't you? Quick time.
Because otherwise you get left in the dust.
I think the thing with
Katsu Curry.
I think the thing with Wagamama's is people get scared by the fact they don't know what these vegetables are. You know, because they're all kind of Eastern and they're not familiar. You don't get them in British supermarkets.
No.
What you got to understand is you're never going to know them.
Yeah, and
you've
also
just got to scram them.
You don't really get those kinds of foods in our traditional takeaway environment. You know, if you're getting like an Indian or even like a Chinese, same part of the world, but you don't get any of that kind of food. Japanese is very niche, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hermetically sealed culture, isn't it?
Yeah, so people are like, oh, Katsu Curry, okay, I know I like fried chicken, I know I like curry sauce, I know I like rice.
It's probably the most, it's like the most Western dish on the menu, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can see why you can understand why people naturally go towards it originally. But you've got to fucking diversify your palate.
There are so many things that are better on the menu. That's the take-home message. So next time you go to Wagamama's, the reason this has come about in our echo chamber is the fact that Wagamama's have just opened up near us. Yeah. So we are now frequenting it.
So we are spending quite a lot of money in Wagamama's and spending quite a lot of time there.
Yeah, rightly so, because it's Essence. But yeah, anyway.
But you like Wagamama's more than me. Very quickly, for someone that's never been or is going but wants to diversify, give them three things to try.
3 solids, okay.
Yeah, sides or mains.
I'll go all mains.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I have to get sides as well.
Yeah.
So we'll go the shiridashi ramen, which is the ramen with pork belly in, which is Essence. You've not had that, have you?
No.
It's good. The broth's better as well than the chicken one.
I love the broth.
Brothel. My order, obviously, I've got to put in there, which is the duck donburi, as mentioned. And then, number 3, what's it called? I'll go with the chicken ramen because that is good as well.
Yeah,
so 2 ramen, because again, ramen's healthy as fuck as well.
Yeah.
It's like a bowl of like goodness in it.
Yeah.
It's sick.
It's all cooked in the same shit. So all the nutrients that you normally lose from like boiling veg or whatever, it's still in the broth.
Yeah, and all the meats make it tender. Cause
yeah.
We'll get off Wagamama's. But anyway, we'll stop blowing smoke up their arse. But yeah,
right, okay,
those are your 3.
So this is
choose one.
This is gonna be a good segue from Wagamama's to the fucking Commando test.
Yeah. If anyone can do it, it's us.
That's a screech.
Yeah. So on to Commando test 1. I guess we're gonna go in order.
Right, so before we actually get into the Commando test, we need to cover some basic Commando test admin, right? Let's set the scene. Paint the picture. What's building up to these tests? Like the preparation, what's gone into it?
So the entire...
what are they?
Well, the tests are, the final week... No. The week before the final week of training. The final week of tests that you'll face before you are a Royal Marine. And effectively that last 8 or 9 months of super intense physical and soldier training has led up to those tests, and the entire time you're building up your fitness and each week compounds on the next, and you're building up, and then you'll hit this seminal week where you kind of tested on all of these things, and everyone knows what the tests are before they've even got there because they're publicised as we know and as some of the listeners probably know, but they're in your mind the whole time. You don't know a lot of the other tests that you face throughout the training. Training's, punctuated with loads and loads of tests, but you don't really know what they are. And you just sort of thrown them as and when, and you're like, okay, we've got Baptist run or whatever. Criteria exercises and stuff. But you don't really know what they are beforehand, so you haven't built up the same angst around them. But the Commando tests, you know what they are before you even hit apply at home, sat at home. So you know exactly what, the 30 miler is, whatever, which we'll get into, but... So it's a big point in time. It's almost like you've been looking forward to this like phys session effectively for like 2 years.
I was just about to say, theoretically, because all throughout the process of application, your initial training, actually getting to Lympston, that at some point you're going to have to cross these challenges. So it's like 2 years worth of work going into this.
It's work, and it's obviously the mental angst building up, because it all culminates in this final week. So if you fuck anything up, or if for whatever reason your body can't handle it or whatever, which happens, like the compounding effect of all 4 of them, they do sort of mount up, and some people just break as a result of that.
So everything physical that you do in training effectively is building you up to pass these tests.
Pretty much.
But is it the compounding effect of them back to back that finishes people off?
Normally, yeah. But there's little other bits. As people get injured, obviously that's something you can't really help. the other thing is they test. They're obviously well designed. So they test different portions of fitness. So some people who really aren't good at certain, like maybe they're really shit at endurance, just naturally, they might really struggle on 30 miler, and therefore they fail it. Other people who have like little niggling injuries that are going through training, like shin splints or stress fractures or something, because that week's so intense physically,
it just
exacerbates it. Yeah, and so some people get like compartment syndrome where their calves really lock up and you can't get any contraction out of them. All these sorts of things. But yeah, like you say, because they're so intense and because they're so like back to back in that week, you tend to get people being written off more than in other weeks physically anyway. But yeah, I guess all the physical training is building up to being a physically robust Royal Marine, but those are the tests that show that you are a physically robust Royal Marine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So before we get into the individual ones, as a whole, the week, would you say it's more mental or physical?
More mental, definitely. Yeah, because remember, you're already run down by this point as well. Like, you're not going in
fresh,
well hydrated, well slept, all this sort of stuff. You're going in pretty fucked anyway, because we came back off final X, so you come back on exercise completely dishevelled, effectively. And then,
a void of your former self.
Yeah, and then you have to turn yourself around on a weekend. I believe the endurance course is done on Saturday, maybe. So you don't have long in the track transition between the two, and so you have to get yourself squared away. And again, you'll have done training and like run throughs of the endurance course. You know how it feels, but you've never done it with that pressure on. And so yeah, sometimes it's quite difficult. It is mental and not physical.
This sounds like a stupid question, right? And this is quite anal. Do they always fall on the same days for everyone?
Yeah.
So like there is a set thing. So on X day you will do. Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so you have the same. That just sets the playing field level, doesn't it? So
yeah,
everyone's got one day they'll have like one rest day in between. It's the same rest day. If they've got to do any redos, they'll do it on the same day as everyone else will do the redos. So it's one of those things that you'll definitely get. Everyone does the same thing because they're tests. You have to have every single troop has to carry the same weight, has to do the same time, has to do the same distance, has to do it on the same day because every variable they can control they'll control for, so that everything is fair. Because they're the one thing as well, like we've probably talked about before. Some of the other stuff in terms of like the entrance tests and the physical stuff on the front end of training. So ROP's now in there, CPC's in there, which is different to how I went through and different to how 20 years it went through. They're different now. But because this final wall is always the same, and it's always, it's always 8 hours for the 30 mile, it's always the same, it's always the same weight, it's always whatever. Because they're always the same, you can say everyone who's gone through training is of the same calibre.
Yeah, because they're still doing the final test.
Because you still have to do that block at the end,
Yeah. Do you have any idea whether more lads drop out doing the final test now if the barrier to entry is lower?
I'm not sure. I don't know, to be fair.
But by that point, you'd hope that they were all kind of
up to
the same level of proficiency, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because they've been through the same progressions. You may have started at a relatively lower level, but you've got to remember now training's 4 weeks longer as well, so they have a longer time to build people up for.
Right, well, we've kind of beaten around the bush as much as we can without actually getting into the test.
Yeah,
so
let's get into them.
Let's do them in chronological order. Start us off.
So the endurance course is first.
Right.
Which is fucking stinking. I think this was probably, without ruining it, probably one of the worst ones for me.
And what does that entail?
So, it's a 6 mile cross-country run, effectively, with £21 plus your rifle, and so about £32 of kit. You got to be done in under 73 minutes, and you finish on camp next to the shooting range, and you go straight to the shooting range, and you fire 10 rounds at 25 metres. You've got to hit 6 out of 10 shots.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that marksmanship component
to it. That component to it, and if you fail that, you fail the entire test. You've got to rerun the whole thing. And so it's 2 miles of undulating ground and cross country tunnels and water obstacles and all this sort of stuff.
Are they the Smarty tubes?
Yeah, 2 miles of all that sort of stuff, and then you get off the course and you have to run 4 miles back to camp. That's your six miles.
Right. We need to unpack this a bit more as well, because it's not just like a six mile cross country run.
No.
Because you're in all your kit, so you're in boots.
Yeah, well, boots first, yeah.
You're carrying
webbing.
Added weight.
Yes, you're carrying 21 pounds, about 10 kilos of actual webbing on your belt.
And at some point you also get wet.
Yeah.
So that makes you heavier as well.
Yeah, and you're carrying your weapon, remember, which is about 5 or 6 kilos, and awkward. Remember, you got to
which still needs to be serviceable at the end.
So you can't just like jam it into the fucking deck to get up, or use it as a walking stick or whatever, because it'll be fucked.
So it's a lot more complicated than you think, really.
Yeah, it sounds like 6 miles in 73 minutes, fucking easy. But the first 2 miles probably take you a good 35-ish minutes, and you can imagine 2 miles at 35 minutes is a long time because well, it's the only reason is because of how undulating it is. You go for you sort of sprint in groups of 4. So you start in groups of 4. You sprint down a hill and up, and the first kind of, I guess it's 700 meters, maybe 600 meters. You sort of sprint together. The idea is you stay as close as you can to each other, because then you approach the first big obstacle, which is the sheep dip, which you will have seen, right? So the sheep dip is this fully submerged tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
Where 2 of you get on one side, 2 of you get on the other side, and you chuck each other through this fully submerged tunnel. So by that point, you've already been through Peter's Pool, so you're already wet. But by that point, you're fully submerged in Ogden. So by that point, you're completely sodden.
Peter's Pool sounds really whimsical. Yeah. But I imagine it's anything but.
It's just all it is a water feature on Woodbury Common. It's nothing crazy. It's just freezing cold normally. But you go through sheep dip, and then you're completely sodden. So now your webbing, which was £21, is probably now more like 24, 25. Your boots are probably £3 each. So that's fucking horrendous.
It's like walking with rocks on your feet.
It's like having ankle weights on, literally.
Oh, fuck that.
And then, so you get off, all 4 of you approach that, and if there's one who's slower in the group, you have to wait for them, because it has to be 2 on each side for safety. So one pushes, one pulls. You all go through that individually. Then you get your kit back on, so webbing back on, rifle back on, whatever. And then you sprint up the first real big hill, which is straight after getting really heavy. So you sprint straight back up that. So you're fucked by that point. And by that point, because remember, if you're really out of breath, and then ask you all of a sudden to hold your breath for 10, 15 seconds while you get pushed through something, now your heart rate's going skyrocket anyway.
Yeah.
Then you're flapping and getting all your kit back on, your heart rate's going again. Then you've got to do a hill sprint and get back into your stride. It's all relatively difficult. So you get off that hill, and then you come back around, and then you're into more of the Smarty Tube sort of tunnel stuff.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. That's only in the first mile.
I'd love to put heart rate monitors on some of the lads when they do it.
Yeah, same.
Because you're not allowed like GPS watches through training, aren't you? But it would be so interesting to find out what their actual heart rate is working at.
Yeah, you're also not allowed normal watches doing fizz, so you don't know where you are. So when you're on that 4 mile back to camp, you know you've got to get in with 73 minutes, but you don't have a clue whether you're at 40 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever.
Is that to stop lads rapping if they know that they've if they know that they've fucked it?
You know, it's to stop lads going, I've got another 5 minutes.
Oh really? Oh, it's because they want you. I love this. Right, we talk about this all the time. This incessant zone 4 mentality that the core of.
You've got to put 100% effort in that. You don't like this. You've got to put 100% effort in.
We come from very different sides of the wall, basically. You're all like all out effort, and I'm work smart, not hard.
Yeah, but that's bollocks, because you don't build any fucking mental toughness working smart.
You've got to live in a puddle.
Yeah, you have, for 10 days. No, but anyway, so you get off the endurance course, you're fucked by that point, to be fair. You've been crawling for probably a total of about 100 metres, and you know, in terms of all the tunnels, and you're up and down and all this sort of stuff.
So say you're doing the first, 2 miles in like 35 minutes.
I don't know if it's that slow, but
say you've then got like half an hour to do the other 4 miles.
That's about 8 miles, just under. Yeah.
With all that weight, you fucking thrashing yourself, really, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's not all. You
say endurance, it's still basically a sprint.
Well, yeah, it's 65 minutes of just sprinting.
They've not really got the grasp of endurance there, have they? It's not zone.
Wait till we get to the 30 miles.
It's not zone 2, mate.
No, you're testing yourself. You're never going to be in zone 2 testing. But you get off the endurance course having held your weapon for the entire time. Then that's when you can sling it. So a lot of people will have like a bungee loop on the back of their webbing, and so they'll backpack their rifle. So they have one sling here, one sling on the other shoulder, and they'll have their weapon in this bungee loop on the back of the weapon, so it's just like a backpack, and then you just run, which isn't the most comfortable. isn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but
So you got a rifle pressing into your back.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Lovely.
But it just makes it easy to run.
Just means you can use both arms to
so
swing.
you can pump with both arms.
But most of the rest of the 4 miler is downhill. There's like one uphill segment, and then you get to camp, and you have to get over. If you've ever been to Lympstone, you can't cross that road. Where you come from, if you come from Woodbury and go into the camp, you can't cross the road. So you have to go up over a bridge and back down. So by the time you get back, you've ran 6 miles. Your legs are absolutely fucked. Your heart rate's been about 200 for 60 minutes, and then you've got to negotiate stairs and get up these stairs.
It's a shit bridge, by the way.
Yeah.
Do they deliberately make the stair spacing awkward to fuck with recruits?
I doubt it, but it adds to it.
It's one of those ones where if you do it singularly, you're kind of out of step with yourself. But then it's just slightly too much to do doubles.
Do double steps, but you've too fucked to do double steps anyway. The big thing is probably getting down the stairs on the other side because you're so you're concentrating, not concentrate. But then you get off that bridge and you sprint down to the range, which is the bottom of camp, and that's where you'll get your time called. But yeah, it's a tough test. That was one of the worst ones for me because it's right in that time domain that I don't really like. That sort of 60, 70 minutes pushing yourself all out for that time.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not like pocket rocket short intensity, and it's not like mega long endurance where you can kind of just like bed down. It's that
middle ground
on the edge in the middle ground,
where you
isn't
can
it?
still zone 5 it, but it's horrendous.
Yeah.
Which I guess is by design, but they do. You do that, and the the record for that I think is something crazy. It's like 54 minutes or something.
Did a PTI do that?
No, one of my lads in training did that.
That's mental.
He's next semi-pro rugby player, and he's like fit as fuck.
That kind of
I don't know whether that still stands, but it's 54 or 56 minutes. But mate, if you just run 6 miles across normal terrain with 30 pounds, and you do it in 50-ish minutes, that's a great time.
Yeah.
But having negotiated all that shit beforehand and then sprinted back, we worked out that he ran his last 4 miles at 6-minute miles.
That's fucking. I couldn't do like an unweighted 6-minute mile.
No,
really.
most people can't. That's mad.
He's mental.
But yeah, he was a fucking monster. He's one of them blokes who he would move at the same pace if he was unladen or if you had 30 pounds on him.
Like a pack mule.
Yeah, he was just going. But yeah, it's impressive that. And I remember I was on that endurance course getting hounded by one of my corporals. He was like, fucking come on, like they're always telling you you're failing. You're off the pace here, whatever. I wasn't, but they tell you that so you can go quicker. And one of the lads who was in the other waves, they set you off in 4s, like I said, but they set you off in like 10 or 5-minute increments or whatever, so you don't catch each other up. Blod, the lad who's the Welsh lad, so he was behind me in the wave behind, but he shouldn't have been in that wave because he missed one of the run throughs. So they didn't really know where to put him, so they put him like towards like the middle, I guess. So you get set off in like fastest wave first, least fastest, so it makes sense. But he was in the wrong wave, so he was rapid, and so he fucking caught me up.
He was actually lapping people.
He ran me down. I was like, "You bastard!" And he was one of them as well, the same, like a bit like a pack mule where you put weight on him. He's like nothing. Yeah. And I was shit with weight. Yeah. The whole time through training, like I've always spoke about, I was weak as piss going into training, so I had no strength in my legs. My body just could not handle excess weight, man. No. I was fucking
we're short kings as well.
Yeah, so is he. But he's like, again, rugby background, so he's strong as fuck. But yeah, I was terrible.
Right, so that's the first Commando test.
Yeah.
Right, so in the interim period before the second, what happens?
So to be fair, test week's pretty chill in terms of everything else. It's like lectures. You get straight in the tank every time, so it's like cold water therapy. That's by design as well. That's genuine. So like they'll dunk you in the tank after every test to sort of replenish your legs, and then you sit in lectures. You'll go and prioritise food, and it's not that intense outside of tests. That's pretty much the only week where they're sorting you out because they know you've got to that point. They don't want to set you up for failure.
Yeah, they
know if you can pass, you should be passing.
They want you through at this point.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so
it's not too bad.
So that's on the Saturday. When's your next test?
I think it's on the Monday or potentially on the next day. Actually, I'm struggling to remember because like I say, it was a blur.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is a massive blur. I think that's on the Saturday. I think the next one is on the Monday.
Right, for the sake of argument, let's say it's Monday, and you get like a good day of R&R or whatever.
I think so. Yeah.
Right, okay. What's the second test?
The second test is the 9-mile speed march. Yeah. That's right.
Right, okay. So I'm assuming this is just zone 4 again.
Depends how fit you are, I guess. But this isn't. This is ran as a squad, so this is ran at one pace. So you know, if you were really fit, you could potentially do this at zone 2.
Right, okay. So you're doing 9 miles in
90 minutes.
90
so
minutes.
Again, it sounds not too bad. It's actually the easiest one of the lot, to be fair. It's a 9-mile squatted march at a 10-minute mile pace with, again, the same. So webbing at £21 and rifle, so fighting order, about £32 of kit. But you'll run the flats and downhills and you'll walk the uphills.
Right, okay. So you said this is the easy bit. What's the catch? There's always a catch with the Marines.
The easiest bit. But there's a middle portion where... So it's all squadded for the whole time. But you go over like some of the cross countries. I think you go over a portion of the endurance course. Not the tunnels and stuff, but you go over like the undulating terrain and you break off because you can't stay in the squad. That's a really tough portion because it's really uphill. And as I say, they walk the uphills. You don't like fucking saunter. You still absolutely send. Like you're walking about 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You're walking quick. And that favours people with a long stride length.
Right.
I don't have a long stride length, right? So I'm hanging out.
So are you all supposed to be?
I'm basically doubling.
Are you all supposed to be synchronised while you're doing
Yeah.
this? Because you're marching.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
step.
you're like doing an unnatural stride length, really, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the difficult bit. And so we did it in the summer as well. So it's all speed marches are done in the lanes. So it's like on a road, but you've got hedgerow either side, and so it sort of beds you in. If it's hot, it gets really hot in those kind of. It's like a air fryer, and so you get lads go down with heat a lot. And on our 9-miler, we had 2 lads 400 meters before the end, so you can see the end. So at the end, you've got this sign, as you would have seen it if you're interested in this sort of stuff. It would have been, it's like 500 meters to go. It's only pain or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's 500 meters from the end. We just passed that sign, and then 2 lads started to drop back. And
can you see him going?
Well, yeah, you can see him sort of the legs go or whatever. By that point, it's 400 meters to go. You've got lads like pushing them and trying to keep them in and whatever. And you get told off. You go, fucking leave them if they can't go. They can't go. And yeah, so they sort of fell by the wayside. And I think one lad actually finished the 9-miler, but because he was so written off, they failed him. Because
Fuck off.
Yeah, because you're supposed to arrive fit to fight.
I'd be fucking seething at that.
So he'd like sent it, gone pure into like blackout mode into the 9-mile point. And because he was written off afterward, they had to fail him because you're supposed to arrive good to go, fit to fight. So the idea is it's an advance to battle. So the idea is you do the 9-mile speed march, but then you do a section attack afterwards.
Right. Were you fit to fight after that?
Yeah, good to go.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't too bad. I was hanging out in the middle, but I had to just... The big thing is speed marching. If you can take anything away from this, if you're speed marching, just try and like listen into the cadence of... I was trying to just zone out from everything else and just think... And just count the sort of left rights in my head to go left, right, and like as if I was the drill instructor. But that removed me from like the pain of what I was feeling and just let me sink into a bit of a rhythm and get through the test. But that was kind of how I did it, and I certainly had to draw on that about 3 or 4 times in that test because I was ruined again with weight. I was useless even after, like you say at the start, 8 months of building up your fitness with weight.
Yeah.
I was still terrible. And so these tests were not easy. The 4-mile and the 6-mile speed march, which you do at different times in training, were pretty easy. But I think 9 miles just pushed me over a little bit. Long way, innit?
This is a random question.
Yeah.
And slightly left field. What about cars? You know, you said it's done on lanes. Do they close the roads off?
No. So you have traffic guides. So the training team will act as traffic guides. So 2 of them at the front, posted about 20-30 metres in front, and 2 at the back posted about 20-30 metres at the back, and they'll be always looking, and they'll be going like traffic rear, and they'll tell the traffic guys at the front to stop the traffic at the front, and then they'll send the traffic rear, and then they'll do the same the other way.
So do you have to stop for traffic?
No,
good, because I would be fucking... The last thing you'd want is some hat on the way to do the weekly shop while you're fucking digging out.
I think it's pretty normal around there as well. They must see it all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But no, you don't really. And then the good thing about the 9-miler is because it's one of the more tame ones, you get over the bridge afterwards and you march into camp, and everyone comes to congratulate you having done your 9 mile and you do
Right.
your full march past. A bit like the lads did on the King squad.
Right,
when we
and
were
because
there.
it's not as intense, it's like active recovery
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
core, isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly.
So that set you up for the third test.
I guess so. Yeah, it's still brutal, but it's not nearly as bad as the others at all. It's probably like the easiest on most people's radar.
So that's like the Monday.
Mm.
So it's like normal service resumes. You get like a day rest again.
No, I think you do the next one next day.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
we're on to
back in now,
we're on to the
really.
third one.
Yeah, this is the Tarzan. So reportedly for most people, this is the worst.
This is like a. So it's an assault course that you have to do in like 12 minutes.
13.
13 minutes. It's like a lung buster, isn't it?
It's fucking
This is
horrendous.
If the others were zone 4, this is zone 5.
Yeah, this is like above that probably. It's horrific. There's not a lot of things you can do that put you in that position, in that, like physiologically. It's just mental. But yeah, it's 13 minutes. It's like a 13-minute sprint, effectively. Like imagine.
But you're
like,
also navigating like obstacles and
yeah,
stuff.
that's why it's so aerobically challenging because of all the extra stuff you've got to negotiate. But yeah, so that's the day after. I think for this was the one I was the most confident for because it's the short, sharp sort of fizz that I'm right at.
Pocket rocket.
Yeah, and so I was almost 100% sure I was going to pass it. It was still shit and horrendous, but I was good at it and I was decent at the obstacles. And yeah, so you start on something called the death slide. Happy with that. And you basically have a rope. And
Oh right, yeah,
you're
I've
not-
seen this.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
not
like
clipped in at all.
Yeah.
And you just get off this thing and you have to slide down to the start position. That's when your time starts. Then you'll climb this ladder as quick as you can. You have to like get this rope in your hands. So you sort of hand over hand this mini rope, get the big rope, swing on it like Tarzan onto this other thing, and then you're effectively negotiating the high obstacle course which is about 30 feet in the air. It's a bit dodgy. No, you're obviously not clipped in or anything. For the first 6 minutes ish. That's a tough bit because that's the bit you haven't been exposed to as much
So
in training.
so you have practiced on all of these before. Was it just the final test is a case of bolting it all together?
Yeah, you've also done run throughs. You've done a good amount of run throughs, but it is just a fact like anything can go wrong on those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like you can slip or you can.
Well, the fact that you're doing it at like a breakneck speed as well, you're throwing caution to the wind, really. Aren't you?
Yeah, so like a few lads in ours troop were scared of heights, and so there's a bit at the end. They might have fucking taken it out now. I think they have because it was injuring a lot of people. But it's called the punch through the net. So you have to run, you walk, jog, sprint off this board. So it's like a 2 foot wide, 6 foot long little plank of like a walking the plank on a ship. And you run off it and you jump through the air about 2 meters and you've got to punch through this cargo net. And so you're supposed to hit it on your armpit, so you're supposed to get through and then clamp down. What a lot of people were doing was like hitting their elbow and tearing their pec and all this shit.
That just sounds like a recipe for fucking shoulder injuries, that does.
It was horrendous. We had 2 lads in our troop early on that ripped their pec open on that and dislocated their shoulders, all sorts. But anyway, these lads were scared of heights, and so what they did in the run throughs, they would walk jog. You're supposed to walk jog, sprint, and jump. It's not that bad, right? And they would walk jog and just stop at the end. They would just stop themselves.
No.
I can't do it. And then the lead PTR was like, "You lads are supposed to be fucking bootnecks next week." It's like they were not happy. But I don't think they must have done it because they're both passed out in the end. So they must have eventually done it. But yeah. If you're scared of heights or anything, it's going to be that extra level of like caution you've got.
Extra level of jeopardy
shit.
to contend with.
Well, it is, because like you say, you're moving at breakneck speed. It was like a little bit slippy when we did it, so it's all a bit dodgy. Yeah. And you'll run and jump across this thing to grab a rope, and that's the slippiest thing ever. It's like they've rubbed it in fucking lard or something. And you're like fucking Bambi on ice. Anyway, you get off that high obstacle course, you finish, and then I think the hardest bit comes. So you sprint then about 800 metres with no obstacles to the start of the bottom field assault course.
Okay. And these are like high walls and stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, a mix of stuff. So you sprint all the way. It's about 800 metres. It's horrendous, lung busting sprint. But then you start the assault course in that negative state. Then you start the assault course. So you start on the little tunnels. You go through some tunnels. You run round, and you go across it's called a tank trap. So you just jump 2-footed across like a 6 foot chasm of water. Yeah. Then you do the 6 foot wall, which is a normal wall, cargo net, monkey bars. because your hands are wet and everything's fucked. Everyone hates the monkey bars. I was always hoofing at them because I do loads of pull-ups and I weighed about 4 kilos. But and then you do like these balance beam walls, which are probably about 12 foot in the air, which are fucking very sketchy. You jump off them, and you have to do the half regain. So have you seen the regain stuff? You've seen the regain tank, yeah. So you do that, you swing underneath, you get back on the rope, and you go again, and then you sprint to the top of. By this point you're, you know.
I was going to say, there's a fucking lot going on in 13 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. So like everything is done like at 100% speed and 100% intensity, because otherwise you won't get round. And then and if you mess up any obstacles, obviously you've got to go back to the start, do the obstacle again, losing time, having to sprint even further, even faster. And so you run back up, and like I say, it's a lot to be doing. There's a video actually, I'll put it in, of me just finishing the assault course, and you can see I thought I was moving fast. Right, you can see how fucked I am because I'm moving so slowly, mate. And I go over the last obstacle and then go to the end bit. The end bit is the 30-foot wall. That's how you finish. You probably get there, and you'll probably take about 30 seconds on this 30-foot wall. So it's a wall with like climbing grips and stuff.
Right.
And you've got a rope, so you use a rope and you put your feet on the climbing bits, and then you climb up as fast as you can, and then your lungs fall out your mouth, and you say your name, and then you finish.
Is there some fucking PTI bollocking you at the top? Yeah, I can picture the scene.
Yeah, because you've got to bring the rope with you, and a lot of people just rap on that detail because they're fucked and they've forgotten. And that's obviously the worst thing, because then they don't stop your time until you fucking pull the rope up. Yeah. And they're like, fucking pull the rope, you're supposed to sort the lad out, the next lad out. And that obviously lets the rope dangle freely. So
have you got any tips for tackling the Tarzan assault course?
Fucking hell.
Other than being really lightweight and good at pull-ups?
Yeah, pretty much. That's about it.
And not being scared of heights?
Yeah, fucking hell. But it's all about being able to concentrate at really high heart rates and under really loads of fatigue, because as soon as you mess an obstacle up and you have to go and do it again, you've
precious time, Kath, is it?
So
is it designed so there's no wiggle room? Like if you're having to redo an obstacle, you basically like fucked it.
Well, yeah, if you fall in the monkey bar thing, first of all you're wet and so you're fucking heavier. Then you've got to go back and do the monkey bars. If you've already messed it up once, you probably
so that's like another 20 seconds minimum or something.
Minimum, and then you've got to think the extra weight on you is probably going to give you another 20 seconds. So
and like you said, unless it was just like a cognitive, like time lapse. If you fucked it up once, because you're probably going to fuck it again, aren't you?
Yeah. And a lot of it is like technique. In terms of they obviously teach you the technique for everything, but the high obstacles, there's certain things you have to, you put your foot on a certain way and you put your knee inside and your foot on the outside, and that allows you to move freely. If you pay attention to all that, it's not too bad. And then you've just got to move through at like almost like an 8 out of 10, because if you went 10 out of 10 you'd mess up.
Yeah. And
like you'd fall off, right? But you go 8 out of 10, so you're just going fast enough so you don't mess things up, but you're at the same time not going too slow so you're taking the piss. But there's actually, I think, a massive advantage in being a bit taller. So I was I'm same height as I was then, like 5'7", 5'8", and there's a thing where it's like 2 parallel ropes,
right? And
you sort of shimmy across.
Yeah,
you could picture that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ropes are fucking well far apart. They're like 6'3" apart.
Yeah.
And so I'm like pulling down on them, almost doing like a pull up.
Yeah.
Under tension to get over, and then people who are like normal size, like 6 foot, they can just chill in, just fucking sound.
Yeah.
So that's difficult, but yeah, I think they've actually taken the punch through the net out now. That's what I'll say.
For health and safety reasons.
Yeah. But I think it was probably about time, because they were getting a lot of injuries doing that, which is not ideal.
What's the transferable skill to the battlefield with that as well?
Don't know.
It's just like a standard. It's just like historically always been part of an assault course, hasn't it? Yeah. That kind of like rope punch through. But other than that, it's kind of a bit arbitrary, isn't it?
It is a little bit. I think it shows confidence at height, to be fair.
True. I guess there'd be other ways to replicate that though.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too risky nowadays, I think, because if you execute it, like I never had a problem. If you execute it right, it's fine. But if you are
like you said,
maybe a little bit, if you're a little bit cautious, so if you don't fully commit, then you're fucked, because you're not going to make it far enough and you'll catch your elbow, and that's
the whole point. You do have to fully commit it to get up to your shoulder.
You have to commit to the technique, and then you'll be fine. But yeah, a lot of the time, people don't, and they mess it up. And some people just don't even jump.
I guess the repercussions of that are worse though. So like if you fail the monkey bars, you fall into water. If you fuck that up, you tear your pec.
Yeah, exactly.
It's slightly more on the line there.
A lot of people mess up the half regain, so the shimmying across the rope, and you got to get under, get back on top, and go back, because that's massively technique based.
I was going to say, is that because it's like it's very much technique based, and they're flapping at that point.
You're flapping, you're almost done, so you're probably 9 minutes in.
So you're trying to shave a few seconds by like potentially not setting yourself properly.
So you're 9 minutes in. Remember, you've been 9 minutes at 200 heart rate for so that's playing on as well. So you probably can't remember perfectly the technique you've been taught, and so if you mess that up again and you fall off the rope, then you've got to go back up, do that. So there's a lot of execution, like any assault course. It's all about executing something under fatigue, isn't it? So it's all about not flapping too much and not letting your emotions and your fatigue get ahead of you, and still being able to prioritise the right technique and doing it right and that kind of thing.
Right, so that's fucking rank. Yeah, by the sounds of it.
Terrible.
What day is this? Tuesday? Yeah. Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Right, okay. So you're only midway through the week. You've done 3 of them.
Oh yeah. It's not full. It's like 5 days.
Right, okay.
Because you've got to allow time for redos.
All right, we'll touch on that afterwards.
Yeah.
So for the sake of argument, let's say you've passed.
Yeah.
So you're now on to the final test, which comes when?
So I think you travel that night to Dartmoor. Right. And then you go.
So you got the best part of fuck all recovery.
Yeah, and then you go straight in. That either happens or you spend the day. But I think you do the 30 mile on the Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. So the final test is the infamous 30 miler.
Yeah. This is the one. This is the final.
This is probably the test that most people are familiar with that aren't in that sphere.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably been publicised the most, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think on the night of the Tarzan, you'll travel down to Dartmoor, all your kit good to go. You'll prep everything on that night in your accommodation that you have in Dartmoor, and then you'll on the morning you wake up mega early and then you go.
So what is there to prep?
Just your weight and your kit and stuff.
Just to make sure your Bergen's packed properly.
Yeah, well, you have a day sack and make sure that's packed properly. Make sure you've got all your food you'll need on the way. Like you pack your webbing pouches full of fucking sweets and shit. Like
just simple gels, simple carbs.
Just loads of shit that you're gonna munch on the way around because it's 8 hours. It's fucking horrendous.
Right. Okay. Let's set the scene.
Okay.
When do you set off?
It's early. It's like I think like 06-ish, 07. I don't really know, but it's early doors. You have an early breakfast that goes down, then you line up and you go.
Right. So like everything in the military, I imagine it's incredibly understated.
Yeah.
So there's no like momentous occasion going on.
No, it depends. So some troops, it depends on the troop commander really. Our troop didn't have anything really, but there'll be like top brass there around the course. There's lieutenants, colonels, all these kind of people. Bear Grylls occasionally goes. It's a lot of notable people that are around the course, but you'll sometimes have like a speech from the troop commander to G you up before you go.
Before you set off.
Yeah. So it sometimes can be quite cool, but don't know.
Right. So let's set some basic parameters.
Yeah.
It's 30 miles.
It's 30 miles.
How long have you got to complete it?
8 hours. But again, face value, that seems like mass. Just over 4 miles an hour, it's fine. Yeah, not too bad. Because you think about a marathon, which is your closest distance everyone knows, like 8 hour marathon's like a bag of shit, isn't it? But but you got to think, you got weight first of all, so you've got 35 pounds of weight plus your weapon.
You're in boots.
You're in boots and it's over Dartmoor. That's the kicker.
It's cross country undulating.
It's not just cross country either. It's like ridiculous cross country.
Is it?
If you've ever fucking been to Dartmoor, you probably don't even really know, because if you've been to Dartmoor and stay on the tracks, it's fine. But if you go between tracks and go off piste a bit, which is what you do for the Dartmoor, you pretty much just fucking beeline it basically, 30 miles across. And so it's like, are you familiar with like babies' heads? You know what they are? No.
No.
Alright, it's funny, isn't it? It's such a normal word for me. It's like babies' heads, what? But they're like these little tufts of grass.
Oh,
they're
right.
like, circular tufts, but they're like so frequent that you can't really get a proper footing.
I know what you mean. Though.
Yeah, and so you're kind of basically doing high knees for 30 miles because you're trying to avoid these things, trying to stop yourself snapping your ankle on these little things.
So if you're setting off mega early in the morning, can you even see where you're stepping for the first few hours?
Yeah, it depends when you. I guess if you're a winter troop, probably not.
Probably not.
No. But if we were a summer troop, so yeah, it was light when we set off.
Of course, it's like sunrise at 4 a.m. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So logistically, like when are you scranning, when are you drinking?
So there's a stop every 5 miles? Yeah, every 5 miles there's a stop.
For
So I say a stop, it's like 90 seconds.
Right.
And you basically get to an aid station. There's like they put out. There's lads from Hunter come and help, and some training team are stood there, and you get they call it hot limers. Don't know why. It's just like really strong gopping juice with warm water in and like electrolytes and shit, and you fucking get that.
It's just sugar.
Yeah, and you just get that in, and you get like a pasty and a banana, and you have to get that medley, and that meal deal has to go in like 90 seconds, and so you're basically still moving while you're scranning like a massive gopping pasty and like an horrible.
But your heart rate's not even really recovering because you're fucking scranning. So
yeah, and a lot of times you'll take I won't be able to eat. You won't be able to eat it in that time. So you'll take the pasty with you or whatever. Because they'll make you eat it. They'll be like,
you need the energy.
Even though you don't want it.
So it's better to get it on board and have stitch.
Yeah.
Than not to get it on board and then
the
fucking keel over.
The amount of bananas you eat in the 30 mile, I don't think I looked at another banana for like 8 months after that, Jen. I don't think I had anything else. That was horrible.
So is this a compounding effect then? So for the first, I don't know, like 10 miles, you're alright. But then, so like we found for the marathon, when you're getting towards the tail end of it, like 20 miles onwards, you're just constantly consuming energy basically because you've got nothing in the tank.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and obviously you've got your own little bits and bobs that you've siphoned away in your webbing that you can draw on if you need to. Again, the 30 mile, like I said about the week, it's such a blur. It's mental. Like trying to piece things together is crazy. It's like I wasn't even there. It's like a bit of an out of body experience.
I guess
it's
it kind
really
of is.
strange.
I guess you have to take yourself out of your body to make it bearable.
I think you do. I really can't. I can't really figure out whether the things I'm remembering were me or were like the documentary I've seen. It's so weird.
Memory's weird, isn't it? We're trying to go on too much of a tangent here, but it is very selective.
Yeah.
So like definitely. Sometimes you remember things that you haven't actually lived.
Oh no, yeah. But you can remember like dreams and think that was
so you like wrongly
life.
attribute it to your lived experience, even though it's not.
Yeah. It's very strange, but certainly I find with things like that, with like even the marathon, saying like I can remember bits, but not.
No, it's all just a blur, isn't it? Really.
After like 15 miles, I can't really. But this was. So I definitely remember the fact that 0 to 20 miles, we did fast. Like I was hanging on. I was fucked, man.
To try and buy. Was the idea behind
time.
that to buy time?
They do that. They'll always do that. Yeah, that's how they run it. So yeah, they do the first 20 fast, and then we pretty much walked the last 10. Walked and ran slightly, but we walked the last 10. But because they're every 5 miles, these aid stations, you can. So the way I did it anyway was I set little goals in my head. So when I got to 20 miles, I thought, okay, one more aid station, sweet. And then when I get to that, I know I'm pretty much there.
Then you're on the home straight.
But your body's just such in like overdrive.
You're just a hole.
It's just mad, yeah. But the aid stations are one of the worst bits because you've got to just like force feed yourself carbs and sugar for 90-second period, then you're straight on again.
It's sort of false advertising, really, isn't it? Because they've marketed it as an aid station,
yeah.
But it's not really because it's not pleasant.
No. The other thing is like if you were on a marathon or whatever doing it under your own steam, you could just stop, have 5 minutes, take your kit off, do whatever, eat, have it go down, and then go because you're under strict time constraints. And you're in a squad, you've got to stay with the squad. Remember as well. Even if you get under 8 hours, I reckon. Because I don't really know. They don't publicise the times you get. They don't tell you got it done in 7 hours.
Is it like down to their discretion almost?
Yeah, well, it's done in under 8 hours, but it could be done in 7 hours. You never know.
Yeah.
They could have just done it rapid. But certainly, if you fall like 200 metres behind the troop, you'll fail.
So there's not a hard number that they give, but it's like it's up to them. It's like
you just got to stay with the pack.
Yeah, basically.
If you don't stay with the pack in the 30 mile, you're gone. You'll
Is that when you get
fail.
picked up by the sweeper truck?
Yeah, there's not necessarily a sweep truck on the 30 miler because it's so undulating.
Yeah.
But you'll get sort of swept up by like the company commander who's milling about. You're like, mate, come on, you're done here.
Oh man, it's so demoralising.
Imagine.
Did you have anyone drop out towards the end of yours?
To be honest, I think everyone passed the 30 miler. Everyone
That's
passed it. Because again, short of injury, mate, nothing's going to stop you there.
No, because it's all just fucking mental.
Even with injury, like some lads are turning ankles and cracking on, and you know, it's one of them things that you're pretty much you're willing to put everything on the line for that because it's so long in the making. Like we talked about at the start, like it's 8 months plus however long you've been thinking about it, however long you've been training for it. Right, it's all of that is compounded in this one moment, this 8 hours, and so you're thinking about all of that and you're using all of that for motivation.
True, and unlike the other tests where you know there's something coming after it, this is the final one.
Yeah,
so you can you can throw the kitchen sink at it.
You can fuck yourself a bit, can't you? And then you're done.
Because so the following week is King Squad.
Yeah.
Where you're just basically doing a load of parade shit, aren't you?
Yeah. So you've still got to be able to walk, but I mean, other than that, like,
can you fail that week?
I don't know.
But like we would, so say like you fucked it on the 30 mile and you rolled your ankle or something, and you couldn't walk for a few weeks. Would they just postpone it to the next? Would they backtroop you?
I'm not sure. Maybe you could like pass out with crutches. Honestly, I don't know.
But it seems a bit harsh, you know, like to throw the kitchen sink at the 30 miler and then they're like, oh well, actually you can't fanny about in the parade square for an hour. So
yeah. The other thing might be the fact that again you can't fight at the end of that. I don't know. Maybe not. But I always did this because I was really bad at a few of them myself and really bad at hydrating and stuff, as much as I needed to. And I was always mega like washed of colour after like these tests. After really
like
really
fucking
ill.
Casper the Ghost.
Yeah, I looked terrible. And so the bloke was like this XBS fucking company Commando. He was like massively high up, and he was giving us our speech after our 30 miles. He was like, and then he comes around and gives you your green lid.
Yeah.
And I looked horrendous, mate. I was like,
you're like in and out of consciousness.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh
I was
yeah,
like,
cheers,
fuck.
mate.
He was like, "You all right, mate?" He was like, I was like, oh, "Yes, sir." He was like, "Well done." I was like, "Right, that's that."
Not leading into him when he shakes your hand, like
yeah, legs are like shaking. But yeah, and then you basically get stood in a square and handed out your lids. And what happens is pretty savage. Is if anyone's failed any of the other tests, of course they don't get the lids at the end of the day.
Oh, shit,
so they're stood off to the side, and it's savage, man. So you've just done your 30 miler, you're fucked, and then you don't get your lid.
Right, so now that we've covered all 4 tests comprehensively, let's now get into some more kind of like Commando test week admin.
Yeah,
so if we need to cover
the thing. Like, I remember after my 30 miler, the only thing I did, you get like it's like a 90-minute transit from the end to back to camp.
Yeah.
All I remember was I got in that wagon. I texted my dad saying, "Done it," right, and then I went to sleep. And I woke up at camp. I was back, but my legs, your legs like seize up.
Yeah.
And all my legs are just like filled with blood, and I couldn't walk. And I had to the lads had to carry me into the grot. And I was like, "Fuck's sake, I'm ruined." But then you get, it'd be like the next couple of days to sort your shit out.
Right, sound.
If you haven't failed anything.
Yeah. So how it works, so if you fail a test, you carry on doing the rest of the ones for the week, and at the end of the week you do like retests.
Yeah, unless it's the Tarzan. So because the Tarzan's the shortest, you'll rerun that in the afternoon. So you'll do it in the morning.
Yeah, well, that's not really giving anyone a fair advantage, is it?
Isn't it? You do it in the morning, and then if you had like a brain fart on the obstacles or whatever, and you've got 14 minutes or whatever, then you'll do it again, like at like 2 p.m. And then if you fail it, then it's the only one you get a third crack at.
Is that, so do you get the third crack then later in the week? Right,
after all the others, yeah. So if you do,
I wonder what the pass percentage is on the second or third retake. Surely the third one's higher.
Surely. Well, this is the same. I don't know if I talked about this, but I probably did. When I failed bottom field pass out. See, I failed bottom field pass out right on the fireman's carry.
Again, because you're at a natural disadvantage. There.
Yeah, I just couldn't fucking carry him that quick. I thought anyway on that day. And then so I finished that. We then ran through the rest of bottom field pass out. So you do like the regain, whatever, the assault course, and then they were like, okay, anyone who's failed, dress over here. Okay, rerun what you failed. And so then, having been fucked, having already sent like 110% on the carry, and then done something else as well, I had to then try the carry again. Of course, I failed it again.
Yeah.
And then so I did it the next day and passed it.
Yeah, of course, because
Yeah.
you've been rested and
Yeah,
recuperated.
it's mad,
It's
isn't it?
weird how that works, isn't it? Recovery.
Yeah, they don't get that.
No,
But
that's his own fault. Right, okay, so covered failures. So you said a lot about they try and control as many variables as possible.
Mm-hmm.
What about weather? What are favourable weather conditions in your experience?
for what? For every one of them?
But I guess that each one may favour different weather conditions.
Yeah, I think so. So if you have like a nice crisp, dry morning on the endurance course, it's probably quite decent.
Not muggy.
Yeah, you don't want it hot. You want it quite crisp
Yeah.
and cold, and that'd be good. And then the water would be fresh, but that's fine. at
That'll
that
wake you
point.
up a bit, to be honest. Get you
Yeah.
firing.
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing is the ground's quite hard, so it's not like muddy and
Yeah.
getting all that sort of slowing you down with loss of traction. And then you get back, and you won't have had to deal with as much shit in your rifle.
Yeah.
So because it's not as maybe loads of dust in it, but that won't be a massive thing. You get to pull it through, so you get to like clean it a bit
Nice
before.
spring morning, ideally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you do want something like that, and then the other, what's the 9 miler? Same, exactly. You don't want it hot. You want it really quite cold. Even raining's probably fine for that.
Yeah.
I think it was drizzling at the start of ours, then got really really hot.
That would be good.
That's what lads fucking. That's when lads went down. But yeah, you want it cool for the thing.
You wouldn't want it wet for the Tarzan.
Yeah.
Surely that's going to make
Mate.
obstacles a lot harder, isn't it?
It's like it's ridiculous how much difference that makes. It was like if it's frosty or raining, they don't have any filter, so they'll just do it anyway.
That's got you've got to dig out probably like an extra like 10-15% when it's wet.
Yeah.
Surely.
Oh yeah, but it's just the fact that you have to slow down
Yeah.
because you
yeah.
can't move as fast as you can if it's dry.
Yeah.
And so then you've got to go quicker in other bits. So you've got to sprint to the other bit quicker, and you've got to do the other bits, the other obstacles faster. So like things like the balance beams and things like the I guess the rope pulls and all that sort of stuff. If it's wet, it's fucking savage.
It's
like
impossible. Yeah.
we had to do our bottom field, not pass out, but the build. So the first bit of bottom field in really really icy, like frosty conditions, and they don't like pull any punches. They're not like, oh lads, it's too frosty today, we're going to leave this obstacle. No, they're like, you crack on lads, if you get injured, you get injured. What happened actually with the ropes, so this is pretty sad. I don't know if they stopped doing this, but anyway, when it's wet, the ropes are better because they grip with your trousers more.
Yes.
Do you know what I taught you that
friction.
thing the other day, the way the Marines taught climb the rope and use your knees.
Yeah, like the knee clamp.
Yeah, there's more friction, so you can get it more. If it's frosty, it's the opposite, so there's less friction. You can't do anything. They made lads do like basically one too many rope climbs on one day, one of the frostier days, and one of the lads got to the top, just lost all grip. It's 30 feet, yeah, just because his arms are like completely cooked, and I don't know what the best kind of way to describe that is. A bit like doing one of them pump finishes we do with the bicep stuff.
Yeah.
A bit like that, but times by 10, and now you've got to do a rope climb 30 feet. And so he's at the top, and he's got no friction, no traction with his knees because it's so frosty. No traction with his arms because his grip's fucked, and he just slid.
He's fireman poled it.
Yeah, literally straight down 30 feet, broke his femur. Mate, just because of the weather, isn't it? So like
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
yeah, so just because of the weather, and then so yeah, taking it into the Tarzan. If you have it wet or you have it icy, it's just going to be worse.
It's not going to be pleasant.
When we had our first proper run through of the Tarzan, not to flex too much, but I was the only one who passed. But because it was just, like lads were just fucking shitting themselves, and we got thrashed to fuck after that because they were like, lads, you've got your test week in 2 weeks and no one passed. How's that going to look on us as a training team? So they were fucking hammered us after that, and I was like, I passed. But I was still getting thrashed, obviously. We were stood in the tank in the rain with our little heads poking out. Like, little heads
Been
poking
called a
out.
piece of shit.
Just been spat by a lot. Like, oh, lads, you fucking cunts. I might have to put this as an explicit podcast, haven't we? But yeah, so it's definitely you want it dry, and you don't want it crisp because that will leave little layers of frost. So even a bit warmer on the Tarzan's probably better. Yeah.
What about 30 miler? Same again.
Yeah, you don't want it wet.
Do you just want like cool, overcast weather?
You
Effectively.
don't want it wet though with the Tarzan, with the 30 miler.
Because of traction.
Because of bog.
Yeah.
If it's been raining, the earth gets obviously saturated, and in Dartmoor between the tracks when it's the cross country bits, they become bog, and then you're literally doing high knees for 30 miles. It's fucking horrendous if that's the case. But ours was decent, to be fair. Our 30 mile was good weather. But my feet were just fucking tapped. They were terrible, yeah.
We need to give a shout out to the training team as well. Because just generally,
Yeah,
because
true.
they do the 30 milers with you, don't they?
Yeah, well, they actually do like a practice 30 miler with a different troop. They'll do like 18 miles of it to train. So they'll go on like another Wednesday. They'll cut away. You won't see them, and they'll have done the
What, like the week
18,
before or something?
No, like a couple of weeks before. Yeah, they'll do it with another team. But yeah, the training teams are fit lads. They've got to be on the same level as the recruits. And bear in mind, they haven't had all the same physical training as the recruits.
Yeah.
They're just doing like their push pull legs in the gym.
So you've all in training been building up to that. It's the onus is just on them to stay at that level of fitness.
Yeah, to be fair, they don't have to carry the same weights and stuff. So like on the endurance course, they're not running through the tunnels with you, and then they haven't got the webbing on. They're just like running back with you on the lanes.
Yeah.
And on the 9 miler, they don't really have to do anything too much. The PTI runs that, so that's a bit different. Tarzan again, they're just fucking standing there shouting at you. And then
I don't blame them. That's what I would do.
but the 30 miler they do have to do with you. So the 30 miler, that one of the training or two of the training team will take a half of the troop, and two of the training team will take the other half of the troop.
Yeah.
And they'll just got to do it.
So they got their packs on as well.
They've got stuff on, yeah. They haven't got a weapon, I don't think, and they haven't got £35. They've got like safety stores.
Yeah. Bait loads of scran.
Well, they've got scran and waterproof.
First aid kits.
Like that,
Yeah. It's just like fucking. They're still doing it though.
Yeah. So if you fail any of the tests, so if you fail the endurance, again either the shoot or the run, you'll redo the whole thing, but you'll redo it on I think the Saturday the next week. I think that is the redo day. So if you fail 2 of them, by the way, you've done. You're only allowed 1 fail.
So what happens then? You get back true.
Yeah, you get.
By how many weeks?
Well, you have to go. I think you have to go and redo the Commando phase, which is like last 4 weeks of training.
It's like snakes and ladders, isn't it?
It's horrible, mate.
If you land on a snake,
yeah,
fucked. You go back 4 weeks.
That's a class analogy. Yeah, it is. We're gonna clip that and then tag the run ring. That would be the new marketing campaign.
Snakes and ladders with added jeopardy.
Yeah, it's a state of mind.
Terror rotation.
It's a snake of mind.
Yeah, it's a snake of mine.
Anyway, yeah, if you fail endurance, you'll redo it on the Saturday. 9 mile are the same, but again, it's just you and the PTI. It's a bit harder because you're not in a squad.
Fucking that's some awkward small talk, that innit?
Oh yeah, no, you won't be talking much.
Time you on till.
Yeah.
Till you fucking finish your
yeah. Saturday morning, you fucking hat. And then the 30 mile is the worst because so you do it normally over Dartmoor in a big Ferrari with a massive fucking parade at the end of it. You know the whole thing. Yeah. Obviously, you still know you're gonna get your lid at the end. Bear in mind, you get your lid in front of no one at the end, which is shit.
That's a bit shit.
But you do it with like laps of Woodbury Common.
That's
so you
shocking.
do like 3 or 4 laps.
That could only be made.
horrendous.
That could only be made worse by doing it on a treadmill.
Yeah, true. Well, I know lads who've done that as well. Not as a commando test, but
As a fucking
as a
punishment.
bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it works. And again, if you fail more than one, then you fail. I actually had one of my best mates in training. I've told you this story before, but he walking up to the endurance course, fell over, and knocked his zero off his rifle.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
Knocked his zero off his rifle, so went through the entire thing, not knowing that regardless of what he did, he wasn't going to pass.
No.
So then he actually got 1 out of 10 shots on target, which is a good effort considering he had no zero.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Will, how the fuck did you get 1 out of 10 shots at 25 metres? It's like that is so. You should be getting 10 out of 10. It's fucking easy, right?" But then they tested his zero. And he's like way off, like two targets to the left. And so he re-zeroed, did it again, and smashed it up. But yeah, it's savage. If you knock your rifle or anything like that, then you're screwed.
Oh, that is.
Or if you get a stoppage. One of the lads on that documentary got a bad stoppage. So you have to get 6 or 7 rounds on target. If you don't shoot 7 rounds, you obviously can't pass.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's done at timed intervals. So it's like targets up, targets down, targets up, targets. So it's like every couple of seconds. So if you're spending like a few seconds clearing a stoppage or whatever,
Is a stoppage like a jam?
Yeah, because you've got like maybe you've got a double feed. So you get two rounds going into the chamber,
Right.
and so it stops, or there can be loads of stuff.
What influence is that? Like dirt and grime?
Yeah,
like,
gunk, or just put no oil in of the weapon.
Right.
It's another stoppage. You obviously got you've got weapons fail to fire, which is just the firing pin can be can not be hitting the end of the round, which can be a lot of that can be the fact it's dirty, or it can be the fact you've not put it together properly because you're flapping or whatever.
Yeah.
Loads of shit can influence a stoppage, but if you get one of them, you can't clear it in time, you'll fail as well.
Fucking hell, there's a lot of shit
Well,
going on here.
It's a fucking achievement, I guess. Isn't
Yeah,
it? Like,
true. Because you got
a lot of shit's got to go right.
Yeah.
To get
and
through it.
not all of it is in your hands.
That's true. Yeah, majority.
You got to
majority is. Majority of it.
You got to ride your luck.
Yeah. Well, you're
You make your own luck.
Yeah, well, you make your own luck. You know.
That's the zone 4 answer.
You know how I
isn't
feel
it?
about luck.
Yeah, you make your own luck.
You do. listen to The Luck Factor by Brian Tracy. Good book. That.
What was I going to say? Yeah. Right, so let's rank these, or you just give us a top one. Which one did you find the easiest or most suited you?
I'll say the Tarzan because it was shortest.
Right.
Over the quickest.
And do you think you're different from most lads?
Yeah. Most lads do say the Tarzan's hardest.
Right, okay. So what do they think's the easiest? The speed march?
Yeah, 9
right.
mile. Like I would say the 9 mile.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, he's got fucking long levers,
yeah,
hasn't
exactly. He'd be fine with that. But Tarzan was fine. I did it in like 10 minutes. 10 minutes of horrendous phys, but it's fine. It's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And again, I was more suited to that kind of thing. But I would say, so Tarzan easiest, 9 mile next easiest, 30 mile next easiest, and no, I don't know. I can't decide between those two, the endurance and 30 mile, because I always used to say 30 mile wasn't as bad as the endurance course because I'd never think about the 30 mile enough. But today I have, and 30 mile was terrible. so maybe
reaffirmed it in your own
maybe
mind.
It's that, yeah. It's a tough test, that is. But it's just like, again, it's the culmination, so you're not really going to fail that or stop at any point.
Yeah. Well, I think you've comprehensively covered that.
Yeah, I think we
I
have.
don't think there's anything else, unless there's any dits or anything that you want to add.
I think I've gone through.
Covered all of my points.
No, I think from my own experiences of going through the each individual test, like you had the lad fail because his weapon was off 0. He had that was on the endurance. The 9 miler with the 2 lads going down with heat. That's terrible. Also there's that story about the bloke who didn't have breakfast basically for the 30 mile. Do you remember that on the documentary?
Yeah.
He basically had half a Weetabix or something.
Right. I mean, you put yourself in good stead there, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, and then he just was literally like Casper for like 7 miles in. So yeah, don't do that. And then the Tarzan, again, if it's wet, it's going to be fucking terrible. And if you're scared of heights, then man up. And then the 30 miler, you just got to get it done.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Comprehensive. Let's now move on.
Let's move on to our segments again.
To our segments, yeah. It's almost as bad as my dancing that the other week. Right.
Pissed on San Pellegrino.
Underrated, overrated. Play the jingle.
Yeah.
It's either underrated.
You've charmed me.
Or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Right, who wants to go first? Yours is ad hoc.
You can go first.
Right. Well, speaking of San Pellegrino, underrated, overrated, sparkling water.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, okay. I actually do think underrated. Yeah.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, surprisingly, I think underrated. And not least because of its mineral content, right, as you like to point out constantly. But also, I was talking to my dad actually about this morning. If you're dieting, it's actually really good because it makes you feel fuller. And it gives you something to drink that isn't just fucking water. So if you had someone who's like as a coach, if I have someone who drinks loads of Diet Coke or drinks loads of Coke, and they think, oh fuck, I've only just got to drink water now. It tastes of nothing. It's there's nothing there really. But if they have sparkling water, it's at least something.
Yeah.
That's a bit interesting rather than just water.
That's an underutilised dieting tip, I think that.
Exactly, definitely.
Because it does fill you up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I always put people onto that.
Yeah.
Especially. If if you've got a really restrictive diet, so if you're keto and you can't have much sugar, because it sort of has the same kind of consistency as fizzy drinks, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like that. And also, as you said, the mineral content. These are things that have recently come onto my radar.
Yeah.
Because historically, being from a socialist upbringing, always associated sparkling water with Tories.
Yeah.
So I was
Firmly
fervently
against it.
fervently anti-sparkling water.
Yeah.
But now that San Pellegrino's come into my life, I have to say I think it is underrated.
So, can you actually concisely tell us what mineral content does?
No. I just know that you need vitamins and minerals for basic human function.
Yeah, this is true. I agree. I can't really pinpoint what they do. But it's the same as
So essentially, you need
vitamins
vitamins and minerals for basic human functions, don't you?
like the building blocks, aren't they?
Yeah, the building blocks of
blocks.
I couldn't tell you the specific kind of like biological function that they fill. At a macro level, I know that your body needs them. So why not provide them to it?
Calcium in it. To be fair, there's sodium. No, there's not sodium. There's magnesium in this, which is part of an electrolyte balance. Chloride. Probably not a good thing that I put electrolytes in it then, because
You've OD'd.
I've double whammy there. I'm fucking bouncing.
That's like mixing like alcohol and weed, isn't it? That
It's
you've
like-
gone, yeah.
yeah.
You want to get high, but now you're too high.
It's like mixing pre-workout and Red Bull.
Yeah.
Which we know certain individuals do. But yeah, San Pellegrino is underrated, I think. Do you think all sparkling water or just
No,
this stuff?
this is where it gets a bit more nuanced,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Because I think that some sparkling water is overrated.
Right, okay.
I'm
What about just carbonated water?
I'd like to
Actual
set my stall out here. I'm very much on the San Pellegrino hype.
Yeah.
I've not dabbled in enough sparkling water to have an opinion on that.
How much is it? This? I know I bought it yesterday. I can't remember.
Yeah, bearing in mind you were the one that bought it. It was on.
Is it
so
150? Something like
So these 1 litre bottles were on. I sound like a fucking advert now. they could be yours for Tesco. They were on offer at Tesco for £1.
That's pretty good. That is good.
That's not bad. How much is it? I mean, not that I
Normal
fucking.
water's fucking more than that, like.
Yeah, a little shitty bottle of Still Evian's like 90p, isn't it?
Yeah, at least like drink this over smart water or anything like that. Smart
Yeah.
water, fucking nothing in
It's
there.
just like tap water, isn't it? Basically.
Maybe it is mineral. Surely it is if it's smart.
If it's not mineral water, basically
just
don't
got
pay
sold you a
for it.
drink. Yeah,
you
pretty
might as well drink tap water. That's the take home from this. Unless it says mineral water and it has actual mineral content, it's come from like a natural spring. Don't drink it because it's just
from Italy.
It's reconstituted tap water basically.
Yeah, true. Bottled at source. Here we go. Yes, yeah. So I think underrated because most people don't drink it. What about if you just get like normal water and carbonate it though?
What, like Soda Streams back in the day?
Yeah.
No, that's shit.
I think
I'm primarily coming at this from the fact that you can
from the mineral
content. Yeah.
Well, I think the carbonated like Soda Stream stuff can have a role if you're looking at it from a diet perspective. Though.
Yeah, true. That is
'cause
true.
It still does the same thing.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it is a bit of an acquired taste. I used to not like sparkling water, but now I've drank it a bit more.
Yeah, well, I put my elements in here.
And it's not, how is that?
It's pretty good.
That's like a sales pitch now. This does. So Harry, tell me how it feels with elements involved.
No, it's actually nice. I was just looking to change it up because I normally have element in still water, but it's just, I have 500ml normally. This is 1 litre, so it's a lot weaker with this.
Yeah. Actually, while we're on the topic, we need to cover this as well. It's slightly different, but on the same, under the same water umbrella.
Right.
People that don't drink tap water because they think that they're like better than it.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit, isn't it?
But they buy shit like just bottled tap water from the shop, not mineral water, just bottled water.
Yeah.
So it's come from the same place.
Yeah.
They've just not got it out. They've basically added a middleman.
Yeah, well, also worse for the environment because
It's worse for the environment. You're consuming the same thing.
Yeah.
You just think that you're fucking better because you haven't got it out the tap directly.
Yeah, that's
You're lying to yourself. They've rebadged it.
Yeah, they have rebadged it.
And you're paying more. And you're paying more for the fucking inconvenience. Because instead of just going to the sink to get your fucking water, you've had to go to the shop to pay more for it.
Yeah.
And you're drinking the same thing.
And you have to pour it, which is an inconvenience. Taps were made for a reason.
Yeah, you put your fucking gob under it, mate. Lick it up like a cat.
I think we're in agreement there. Underrated, like you said before. We've had a lot of overrated, haven't we? So
I like that. We need to spread some positive news. Get on the sparkling water hype.
Yeah.
Or
Also,
lack of hype, actually.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it starts now.
Yeah.
So anyway, my turn. Underrated, overrated. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
UFC.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think rated.
Okay, fair enough. I've been getting into it a bit more recently.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, and so it's entered my field of vision.
See, the thing is, I rate UFC, but I don't know enough about fighting to get. So like the more you put into something, the more you get out.
Yeah.
So like I found with cricket recently, the more I've watched it and like picked up on terms and stuff, the more I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand fighting, I don't come from like a martial arts background or whatever. I'm kind of at the limit of my enjoyment at the moment.
Right,
I feel like I need to invest in it more.
I think if you started to do BJJ,
I'd love it. I'd love it.
You start to understand like the games and the like. Cause I'm a bit of a BJJ nose without even doing it because I watch all these fucking videos.
Proper armchair BJJ.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I'm gonna go practical soon. Don't worry.
It's just all in your mind.
Yeah.
Like you can't actually do it, but in your mind you're just folding people in half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like, when they're grappling and stuff, I know what's going on, and then I have my fucking limited background in striking, but I did karate. But like it's similar. I know how it feels to be at distance with someone, So it is interesting for me. But I don't know if it's underrated. I think in this country it's underrated because it's always in fucking mental countries where it's on at like 2 a.m. And you can't really watch it. But
yeah, I think it's rated.
But the other side of the coin here. So
go on.
There's also people who watch UFC and just think instantly they can throw like a. They can start fighting people on the night out. These are hats.
These are the people that give UFC a bad name.
Yeah, definitely.
And we know they are.
Yeah.
Because they tweet about it as soon as there's a fucking UFC fight.
Yeah, it's true.
These are the armchair experts.
The McGregor fans, aren't they?
They're naturally drawn towards Conor McGregor because he's a fucking loudmouth as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll watch it'll be a Saturday night. They'll go out with the lads. They'll watch a UFC fight. See someone get folded in half.
They're 10 stellars deep at this point.
and their testosterone peaks. And then they come out of the pub looking for a scrap, basically. Looking to emulate what they've just seen on TV. That is fucking terrible behaviour because that's fucking AIDS, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the only problem with the UFC, effectively, isn't it? Because it's just like when Wimbledon's on and loads of cunts want to play tennis.
Yeah.
When the UFC's on, loads of people want to beat each other up.
Is it the Dunning-Kruger bias where you learn a little bit about something and then you actually overestimate how much you actually know about it?
Yeah.
It's like that, isn't it? It's like they see a fight. It's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? I know how to punch.
Throwing haymakers outside, brilliant. It's a bit like that. Kevin said at the seminar last week. It's like those people have seen at UFC now, so they're always about pulling people into their guard and shit, and they think they know what they're doing, but then they just get clattered. Because they're in a street fight and not in a UFC fight. But yeah, I think it's good. I've been recently getting more and more into it. There's a good, I don't know, I'll recommend it. The documentary about Conor McGregor on Netflix is really good. But if you're squeamish about bones breaking, it just a warning. Because it starts and finishes with I think it's the last fight he ever had, Dustin Poirier 3. And he basically takes a step. It's like round 3 or something. Takes a step on his ankle. He's bouncing like he does. And his ankle his tibia just snaps in half. It's gopping, mate.
What, just under his own weight?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, mate. It's
Actually,
it's nasty.
That is the one thing that I do struggle with UFC. I'm naturally squeamish.
I am a little bit for that kind of thing. It's like when Anderson Silva. Have you seen Anderson Silva?
Yeah.
When his leg kicks him, he checks it, and his leg just snaps, mate. That is horrible. That. But yeah.
Just gone in a box.
But yeah, watch that because it's quite a good depiction of Conor McGregor's career. I wasn't really that aware of what he'd done. But he's not actually he's obviously class when he came up, but he's not the best in the business like he always gobs off about.
Yeah,
he keeps getting battered now, and then breaking his leg under his own weight.
Now I'm gonna say UFC. I like watching it. I need to invest more in it to get more out of it. My only criticism of it is these helmets who watch UFC and then think that they're experts and get filled in on High Street.
Yeah, like me, the armchair fans. Yeah,
but you see that you understand your limitations.
Yeah, I don't try and push it on.
Yeah, you don't immediately think that you can better professional fighters.
Yeah, like fucking Bradley Martin.
Yeah,
over that fucking hat. But yeah, anyway, that's my underrated, overrated.
Love this show. Now, do you know the reason to be cheerful this week?
No.
Because you didn't actually discuss it before, right?
No,
right. So I've made one up. Right.
Reasons to be cheerful.
We're travelling around Europe, and I think we've already touched on this before.
Yeah.
But it's booked now.
It's in stone now.
Yeah, so we called ourselves out on the podcast so we had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we had to go ahead.
And now we have gone ahead with it.
Yeah, and so again, we'll be taking the podcast equipment with us, and so expect. Is it this episode? The next episode? Oh no, the next episode will be away, won't it?
So let's do some quick mental arithmetic. So we got Blow the Bar 16 coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
Then the following Monday, which is the Monday before we go, will be this.
Yes.
And then the Monday
that's what I mean. Next episode.
Yeah, so your next episode will... Yeah, the next episode after this will be live, not live, but recorded in Budapest.
Yeah, it's the Budapest special.
Yeah, the Budapest special. So we will have done... So we'll probably record it on the Sunday and then get it out on the Monday.
It's going to be gospel.
So we will have done basically 3 days on the piss in Budapest the next time you'll hear from us. So,
so expect some loose dit. But yeah, we're booked and we're going. I can't believe it's that soon. That's mad.
It is mental. But the reason why it's something to be cheerful about is that we're bringing you with us, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like we want to go travelling, 2 birds, 1 stone. Let's get some podcast content out there as well.
Yeah, exactly, that's the thing. I'm excited. We've been going to places that I haven't been before. But should we cover where we're going?
Yeah, so now we've booked it, we might as well actually chalk off where we're going.
Yeah, so we're starting in Budapest, and then we're going to Vienna for 1 night, 2 nights.
So it's like, well, they don't need to know about that. So we're doing basically like ranging from like 4 to 2 days in each place, depending on the place. So it's like Budapest, like you said, then getting a train to Vienna.
Yeah.
Then Vienna to Munich.
Yeah, and then Prague.
Then Munich to Prague, Prague to Berlin, Berlin to Hamburg, and then fucking back home, mate.
Yeah, and back home. That's 3 weeks. So it'll be 3 episodes that are dedicated to fucking... Well, hopefully not all sending it, but...
No, because we've got an ethics to train for, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
So that's another reason to be cheerful.
Well, there we go, yeah. Let's throw that in there as well.
Yeah, so we're doing that. So we've got basically... We come back from travelling, we've got a week buffer, and then we straight into an ethics competition. Yeah, so we're going to have to keep our fitness squared away while we're out there.
Yeah, because otherwise we'll make a fool of ourselves. The ethics is on the 2nd, like you say, so it's like the weekend after we come back, innit? So we'll have next week to train at home, the week after we come back to train at home, but then the 3 weeks in the middle effectively are away. So.
Yeah, so be prepared for a lot of comprehensive reviews of like CrossFit boxes and functional fitness gyms in and around Central Europe.
Yeah, we should be sick of excited for that. So, sweet. Cool. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed that Commando test breakdown, and tune into next week's episode live from Budapest, not live.
And it's live!
Yeah, from Budapest. Anyway, see you next time.